Hello, friend. This is Jim with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. As promised, I was coming out with another video here that was titled, Now You Decided to Move to Lake Chapala, Now What? You're going to love this video because there's going to be a lot of rich value and content for you. I'm going to talk to you about the Mexican Consulate. I'm going to share with you how we got our visa within 1 week, when in fact, it takes weeks, if not months, to do that. I'm going to talk about making your car legal. If you're driving a vehicle down, I'm going to share with you the 3 options that you've got to make it a successful trip. If you've decided to bring all your household items down and have a moving service do that, I'm going to share with you the 2 options that you've got, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'm also going to share with you about customs and what to expect at the border. It's going to be very important for you to know that. If you've decided to sell everything, I'm going to share with you 2 different options that you've got to be able to have a great sale. Now, we sold everything in 1 weekend. I'm going to show you how we attracted over 150 to 200 people to our garage sale. I want to share with you the tips that we used so you, in fact, too, can have a very successful garage sale also.
Okay, so let's now talk about the Mexican Consulate and how to get your visa. There are 3 types of visas. There is a tourist visa, which is good for 180 days. There is a temporal visa that's good for 4 years. And then there's a permanente, which is a permanent visa. Now, you want to make sure you're going to get all the paperwork started immediately because it can take weeks, if not months. So under the process, you can see there that once they receive all of the required documents, they then review them. They will then do calculations to see if you qualify. And then once they qualify you, they will call you and set up an interview. Now, below, these are all the very important and required documents. Now, at the bottom, you can see that documents must be dropped in medium binder clips. They will not accept them inside folders. Now, instead of being like some that would just take them down to the consulate and drop them off, we went down to the consulate. We went and told them we wanted to speak with somebody who spoke English. That individual really made a big difference for us, but we would not have that happen if, in fact, we didn't say that we'd like to speak with somebody who speaks English. That's how to get approved through the Mexican Consulate. Let's now talk about making your car legal. Let's now talk about driving your vehicle down and making it legal. There's going to be some downloads and some forms you're going to have to fill out. The very first one's going to be called the ZGOB Electronic Pre-Authorization Form. This will create a number. That number will go into the second document you're downloading, which is called the Vehicle Temporary Import Form. This allows your car to come across the border. I've got the links listed down below for you to get to those documents. You must also have Mexican auto insurance, and there's a link I'll have also below. You're going to need a title for your vehicle or a copy of one. If you don't have one, you'll have to provide a letter showing the lien holder's information. Now, you'll want to make sure to have all these documents with you because they might ask you for these at the border. Now, in regards to driving your car down, and there's really no cell service. So I would encourage you just to have a mechanic take a look at your vehicle and just make sure it's road ready. I've got a list of items there. The ones that are actually in red are the more important ones. So this is all about driving your vehicle down, making sure it's road ready, and making it legal. Now let's talk about driving down options. Okay, so now we're going to talk about driving a vehicle down to Lake Chapala. Now, if you have sold everything and all you're bringing is a few suitcases inside your vehicle, that will be option number 1. The scenario number 2 is driving a car or a truck with the trailer yourself down to Lake Chapala. The third would be driving a vehicle such as with a U-Haul trailer or a truck down to the border yourself. Then use a service where your items are actually taken off of your trailer and put into someone else's trailer or truck that came up from Lake Chapala, and then they drive them down, you follow them down, and they take your items to your house, condo, apartment, or even your storage unit. So as mentioned, we chose option number 3. So what we did was we filled a small 5x8 U-Haul trailer with just a small bit of items, drove them down to the border at Laredo. A gentleman drove up from Lake Chapala to meet us at the border. We took the items out of our trailer, put them on his trailer, and he told us he was going to double tarp everything. Well, on the way down, it rained. When the items were actually delivered to our storage unit, boxes were coming off the trailer. They were wet, falling apart. So we lost a lot of things. So option number 3 is a great option. Just make sure you check into who the individual is going to be doing it for you and also get some references. So let's go ahead and talk about our next subject, and that is driving down with a trailer. So now what we're going to talk about is if you plan on option number 3 in regards to towing a trailer down with a car. We actually drove down a 5x8 trailer because we didn't have a whole lot of things that we were bringing down. Now, our car did not have a hitch. We had to check into seeing how much of a weight it could actually tow. So we were told 2,000 pounds. So we had to actually buy some items and have a mechanic actually attach them to the car, which is a trailer hitch, the electronic harness for brake lights, a drawbar, a 2-inch ball hitch, also a lock pin so the trailer itself can't be stolen. And we also took U-Haul's insurance just because if something happened to the trailer, it would be covered. So we'll go to our next subject with driving down expenses. Okay, so now what we're going to cover is the driving down expenses and what to expect. And I just want to let you know it's a 12-hour drive down. We broke it up into 2 days, so we stayed halfway down at the hotel down there. And I would just share with you that you just want to make sure gas, it's probably going to cost you somewhere around $200 if you're driving a car. And there will be OXXOs, OXXO, and sometimes they have gas stations. They're kind of like a US 7-Eleven. So you just want to make sure that you keep your gas tank filled. You're going to have tolls as you go down. You're probably going to have $100 to $150 that you'll be paying in tolls. And then whatever food that you want to take down, even to munch. So those are kind of the things in regards to expenses that you're going to have. And the biggest one's probably going to be the gas, just because of the fact that you'll make sure the tank's full. So now let's go to moving services options. Okay, so now let's talk about if you plan on bringing all of your household items down to Lake Chapala and using a moving service. Now, this is what our research we found out about, and that is scenario number 1. They call it door-to-door. So you would have a professional moving service, load up a truck, and then they would drive the truck from your house down to the house that you have here in Lake Chapala. Now, based on how much of your household items that you bring, we found numbers of being between $10,000 and $40,000 plus. Now, the second scenario is you have a professional moving service that brings your items down to the border, and then you have a moving service that is from here in Lake Chapala. They drive up a truck, you load up that truck, and then they drive it down to Lake Chapala, and that's between $2,500 and $10,000. So there's 2 different types of scenarios for you when in fact you're going to use a professional moving services and bring all your household items down. Okay, now let's go to our next subject, moving recommendations. Okay, so this slide's really easy, and all I'm just doing is sharing with you some tips on choosing a reputable service, whatever decision that you may go. But I would say the one thing on this list I would say is see about them taking half of the fee up front. And then once they deliver the items, you go ahead and give them the other half. That way you don't get taken advantage of like we did. Okay, so let's go on to the next subject. Okay, so this side is in fact if you decide on selling everything and the 2 options that you have to be able to do that. So number 1 is having an estate sale. Now here's the thing about having an estate sale, and that is the person that comes in and actually does the estate sale has no emotion tied to any of the items being sold. So if you just want to sell everything, that would be an option maybe you want to go with. In fact, you're having a difficult time trying to let things go. Number 2 is having a garage sale. Now, as mentioned, we brought down a 5x8 trailer that we towed to the border. We made a decision to go light and just let things go. So just to know that rentals here at the lakeside sometimes come fully furnished. So that would be something you decide in regards to where you're going to be living down here. So, okay, you've chosen to have a garage sale. The next few slides will be everything about what to do, how to plan, some tips to having a successful garage sale also. Okay, so the next 3 slides are going to have everything in regards to wanting to sell everything. Now, we sold everything in 1 weekend, and I will just tell you it was successful beyond what we'd ever thought. And we must have attracted between 150 to 200, if not more, people coming to our garage sale. So these are some important tips for you. A couple of things on here I really want to make sure that I emphasize, and that is number 5 says, we made everything easy to access, to touch and see. So we had plenty of tables, and it was easy for somebody to go to a table and pull something off of it. Now, we found when I had my tools, I had a tool cart that I had built, and we put that like out in front because it was a real attention getter. And when I sold it for quite a bit more than what it actually cost me to put it all together and the tools that were on it. So tools are a real catch. You want to make sure you price everything to sell. Remember, we're selling everything. Now, another thing that we did was we took our clothes with hangers and we made a rack. And the way that we did that was I took some 2x4s, cut holes in the top of them, made a little stand for them, and put the conduit all the way across. And then we put our clothes on that. Now, we sold all of the clothes. I would imagine we probably had 100 or so items on that rack. So that would be another thing I would just encourage you to do, is to make sure if you're selling clothes, to go ahead and put them onto a rack. And as I put there on the bottom, number 5, it says organize items on tables and on boxes. And if you've got things you need to put on the ground, let's say, for example, some clothing, or you've got some things you don't want to get all scuffed up and everything, you can also put a tarp on the ground. So these are some tips for having a successful garage sale. Now let's talk about how we set it all up. Okay, so these next 2 slides are going to be the most important slides probably inside of this entire video, just because this is where our success came from. Now, as you can see on the left there, these are fluorescent yellow poster boards that we got at the dollar store. And these are literally the key, and I really want to overemphasize that. Now, if you're out, you're driving around, and you see somebody's having a garage sale, and they actually made it on a piece of paper that's 8.5 by 11, you're not going to see that. You're not going to be able to read what's on that because it's not large and you're just driving by. But with our boxes, with these poster boards on the side with our signs, attracts a lot of attention. You want people to not think they're missing out on anything, and they're going to race over to your place. So these signs, this poster board was actually glued with contact cement on the side of boxes. Now, on the right-hand side, you see the arrows. So the ones on the left, I used a stencil, so I painted the huge on the poster board, and also did the arrows. So when somebody turned left on a road because they're following our garage sale, and they're driving down and they see another yellow arrow on a box, they know they're going in the right direction. And the compliment that I got over and over and over was how great our signs were. They were very easy to read and were very detailed in regards to what direction that they were going. So this is really a key, and I would encourage you to do the same. So now let's go ahead and talk about how we set this all up on the next slide. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the map. And I want to keep this very, very simple for you because I don't want you to feel like there's a whole lot of information. It's not something you can do. I want to encourage you to follow these steps because you're taking all the effort of getting all the things together that you're wanting to sell. You're making the decisions, and you want to have a successful garage sale. I want you to have a successful garage sale. That's why I'm willing to share all the things with you that we did. So as you'll see on the bottom right, you'll see and get an idea of how we had the poster board or the signs onto the boxes. Now, the smaller arrows are going to be what lets a person know that they're going the right direction in between the big boxes. So as you can see over on Sharp Street, you can see the boxes. There was one box, but we had a poster board on each side that was given a direction of where to be going and driving. Now, when we did it on Sharp Street and we got to church, you can see there was also a box there that was telling somebody to go right. At Church and Flower, you'll see that there was an arrow on the ground. And then when they got down to Simpson, they actually have a box with an arrow taking them to our street. Now, this is how we had the success. I can't tell you how many people made compliments, like I mentioned in this last video, in regards to our signs. You know, that's going to make the big difference for you to have a successful garage sale. You're putting all the time into it. You want to make sure that you do the right things. That way you can have massive success also. So this is how we set everything up, and this is talking about the boxes and our map. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the next subject. Okay, so I'm wrapping up with this slide just so you're aware of when you're holding on to things or when you're going to go ahead and keep things and bring them down. This is something that you're going to want to know about. So what to expect at the border? Well, I will tell you that Customs has all the right of having you unload your truck or taking everything off of your trailer. Now, this was something that was given to me as a heads up. As you'll see on the left, there's box numbers. On the right, there's like a list of what's in those boxes. Now, when we went across, we had actually a flatbed trailer that had all of our things. And they took one look at our sheet and then automatically made an idea, came up with a number, because they can charge you 18% of the value that they see that's in your items. So we made a manifest to make sure that if they were going to look at something or needed us to tell them what was in a certain number of box, we already had this list made. Now, after looking at a few of the boxes, they made a determination that we owed them $400 in US dollars in tariff. Now, I negotiated them to pay $300, but it ended up being, I got told later on, I could have actually negotiated even more. So this is something just to keep in mind in regards to when you're looking at bringing things with you, to make sure you're putting numbers on boxes and then you're creating a list. Okay, well, I hope this has been really helpful for you. Talking about now you've made a decision to move to Lake Chapala, Mexico. And these are all the things that you're going to need to make sure that you know about and helps you have a successful and an enjoyable trip.
So there you have it. All the important things that you want to know about to make your trip down here to Lake Chapala, Mexico, a successful and enjoyable one. If you've not already done that, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to be a part of this community. I'd really appreciate that. You're not going to want to miss any of my upcoming videos. So make sure that you hit the bell, because that's going to let you know and notify you that I've got another video out, because you're not going to want to miss it. If you'd like, give me a thumbs up. And also, if you'd like to leave a comment so others know that your experience was about this video. I just want to say thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome day.